we're one half of Metallica. And we, believe it or not, are actually here to help MuchMusic, our good friends MuchMusic, help celebrate their 10 years. 10-year anniversary. The program is called Everything Louder Than Everything Else, something crazy like that. So check it out. Roll it.
Metal?
What is metal?
Steel.
I don't know.
It's an element made of atoms which have a high electrical conductivity.
My definition of heavy metal, track 1, side 1, first album, Black Sabbath.
I don't particularly like the term heavy metal, but it's sort of, as you say, it's gone around in one big circle.
Heavy metal today has got a street vibe, a street level. It's not Dungeons and Dragons and all that. It's about people dealing with people.
Metal is pure power, just speed, sometimes aggression, just letting out emotions really fast.
Pure adrenaline. It's just, I love it. It's the best.
Hard rock is probably folk music for the, for the 60s, 70s, and 80s. It's our folk music, so it's really the people's music.
Heavy metal has become something so narrow and so impotent because it's disappearing off its own backside.
That's a misguided one-dimensional concept. A lot of people that don't know about metal think. They think it's all like Satan is love and all that. And it's ridiculous,
Heavy metal goes from one point of very melodical and very emotional music to the very aggressive on the other hand, it covers the whole spectrum.
I don't use words like thrash or heavy metal or anything else because I think all those words are crap. There's only rock and roll, and that's all there is.
Well, whatever it is, Lars, it's loud and it's got some attitude. Attitude! Well, in this hour, we're going to try and look at all different types of metal, whether you like it or not, if it's good and crap, whether you think it's metal or not even. We're going to try and fit in everything as much as we can in 1 hour. So what do you want from an hour, huh?
Well, to start with, the British metal scene and 80s hard rockers who made it big. Next, on Everything Louder Than Everything Else.
I'm the rock and roller that your parents loved to hate.
We've got 5 guys that look desperately like they need a job.
Do you know what happened in 1984? Now tell me, James, what happened in 1984? Music happened. Ow! But there was lots of total metal way before that, I think. New Wave British Heavy Metal started in around 79, 80. It was English metal's answer to what had been going on with the punk stuff and a lot of kind of, street and cool attitudes and not caring so much about image and all that type of stuff, but really more kind of an aggressive delivery and a vibe and so on. And bands like Iron Maiden and Saxon and Motorhead. But New Wave British Heavy Metal was something that meant a lot to us and was really still does, and was probably our strongest musical influence. And now you know that every day. So now let's go to something else. Check it out. Roll it.
We shall fight in the fields and in the streets. We shall fight in the hills. We shall never surrender.
We came out of the Midlands part of England, around the Birmingham area, at a time when heavy metal was still very much in its infancy, like the late 60s, with people like Sabbath and early Zeppelin and so forth. And that's what we were always attracted to, that sound, that feel, that sort of direction.
The idea was to take that music that was being played then and take it and like really push it and make it, you know, more aggressive, faster, harder and everything else. The metal audience, traditionally kind of male, under 25, when metal started out.
What do you like about Iron Maiden? I like them because they put out heavy metal, no garbage disco, no new wave, nothing! Nothing but heavy metal!
Bands come and go, and bands get a lot of success and then they drop away. And bands like ourselves, you know, and Maiden and AC/DC and things, we're there all the time, you know.
Motorhead, okay?
Go on, Dad, you go.
Groovy, cool, sure of ourselves, big, virile.
The only gun I need is the ace of spades, the ace of spades.
Like Venom, I would say, is like listening to Motorhead at 78.
I stick my legs in your neck as you dream. I am no sooner a bonfire supreme.
We used to all walk around and sacrifice a couple of goats first, you know, the usual thing, you know.
Jesus Christ is bloody cold. Jesus Christ is bloody cold.
As everybody knows now, within the first few days of the trial, the real truth came out about these two young guys, and that was their heavy involvement with drugs and booze and guns and beaten up by the family. Very, very sad. And metal music was the only thing that was holding them together, you know, Dan, and that's a real shame, because they could have been saved, you know.
They always rack it on me, you know. I don't know why, you know. It's like I was going to have some T-shirts printed up magazine saying, if your day doesn't go right and nothing works out, blame Ozzy Osbourne, you know. It's no big deal. Everybody seems to think, you know, look what he's doing to the youth of our country. We took LSD, we took cocaine, we took vast amounts of marijuana. It was fun at the time, but then we all just sort of thought this ain't a very good idea anymore.
So you have a more stable life now?
No. And I'm not saying I ain't going to never drink again, because I've said it 1,000 times before, and somebody from the National Enquirer caught me on the floor of a bar with about 19 hookers with their boobies hanging over me, trying to lift me off the floor. Smash.
Our concept is sort of like keeping ourselves upright during the concert.
What happened to Steve was very unglorious, you know, that everyone sees it as this star. It's great being a rock star, drinking and that. We saw our best friend shrivel away and disintegrate into nothing, and it was far from glorious. It was sad. It's just really tragic.
And from the moment you start putting on that costume, you know, you metamorphosise into this the metal monster.
I get all my studded wristbands, studded belts taken off me as offensive weapons. It's inflatable. You know what I mean? Have to go on stage nude.
We used to get great write-ups in all the gay newspapers, right? It was like, you know, wow, you know, you want to go and see guys with all their wedding tackle like bulging out of leather pants. Go see heavy metal bands, you know.
I like rock bands, right? And I like the focus to be on the band and not on the props, you know.
I do not for one think that the problem was that the band was down. I think that the problem may have been that there was a Stonehenge monument on the stage that was in danger of being crushed by a dwarf.
Spinal Tap. I thought it was a wonderful film. I thought it was a wonderful concept. I think that we are, as musicians, as idiotic as we were portrayed sometimes in that film.
We don't know from year to year whether this band is going to stay together. This isn't the farewell tour, God forbid. But it might be the last time you ever see us tomorrow in Toronto.
musical heart is taking me somewhere else, and the head has to follow.
Now, over here on this side of the pond, which is North America, in case you didn't know, there was also a movement going on, maybe somewhat lighter, not necessarily any less, but bands, you know, like Van Halen and, to a degree, Ted Nugent, Aerosmith, Kiss, maybe, blah, 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 that were more part of the kind of, you know, the American scene, and maybe a little less aggressive, a little less maybe street conscious at the time. A lot of the songs were about partying, but certainly it was also very vital, I would say. Would you say that?
As long as you say it.
Okay, good. He always agrees with me.
That's not right.
Come on, you do.
I did once. You said join, and I said okay.
What were we supposed to do now?
We're supposed to roll it.
Okay.
We are for real, and since day one, as human beings, we have not changed very much.
Rock and roll is about walking the street, doing the same kind of things everybody else does.
We like to rock and roll, and I loved rock and roll. I needed that crave it. I must have it. Give it to me. In fact, I will take it anyhow.
It started off as a party band, and to this day, the philosophy is still the same. To make sure that we impregnate as many women. No, that's not it. To make sure that we're having fun no matter what we're doing.
Most of us in the band married the women we met backstage.
Aerosmith is really not a political band. No, we're not into causes. We're into getting up on stage and spewing energy out.
To survive the 70s, the way we were doing it is a miracle, and it's a miracle. So we're real proud of that. There's like no way out. There's death, jail, and insanity.
So many people who are in what you are in are drugged out, coked out, stoned out, whatever, but you live your life clean.
I know, those saps. They're saps. They're saps. They ain't getting out of it what I'm getting out of it. They're saps.
You gotta wiggle tango, baby!
What's Van Halen's secret? You know, what do they do? Well, hey, we don't do jack shit. We get together, lock ourselves up in a damn room, and whatever, when we walk out at the end of the day, we go, if we like it, we like it. If not, we don't let it out.
5 little guys can get up there and make so much noise, you know.
It's just rock and roll, and as you can tell up there, we're not trying to prove a point to anybody.
We're now in the 90s. It's more, you know, I want to kill myself, you know, and I think in the 80s there was much more of a positive outlook.
Triumph are always a great band. They always deliver.
Most of their songs are about hope. They aren't about nonsense. They are not the typical, quote, heavy metal band.
We were lucky in so many ways. Wouldn't play the role of pop group and wouldn't have giant hair. You know, all the things that we wouldn't do alone. You know, let alone what we decided we would do. If you added all that up, you would definitely right under it, forget it, failure, you know, no hope. And in retrospect, I see it that way too.
Next on Everything Louder Than Everything Else, the glam, the glitter, and the glory.
Hey man, somebody's got to snort it, somebody's got to drink it, somebody's got to go to bed, probably suppose it's a hard life, but you know, as long as I get paid for it, I'll do it. I mean, come on.
Hey Lars, you got a cigarette? And a tattoo and that big hairdo?
Hey, Jens, what are you doing with that lipstick in your hand? Come on, it's time for the glam rock segment of our little show here. Back in the 80s, there was a whole movement that came out of L.A. with bands like
Motley Crue
and
Rat
and Poison and a couple other folks, Warrant and so on, that
had tattoos and stuff.
And smoked cigarettes and
all the stuff we don't have.
And they, you know, had something going that appealed.
Chicks.
They got a lot of chicks. They got all the chicks, man. You know, it was a big movement. It's one that maybe for a lot of people right now, it's kind of hard to remember, but it's something that can't be denied, and for a lot of people, it meant a lot. So here's some stuff on glam rock. Check it out.
Roll it!
We're like raised on Alice Cooper and Kiss anyway, so it's like we're just nerds naturally.
That somebody will pick up a guitar and then go on to form a Skid Row or a Poison or Motley Crue or Bon Jovi, any number of bands who say, you know what, when I was a kid, I put on your record and it changed my life. And it touches the cockles of my heart. It's one of the few ways we can get that word on television, isn't it?
You want to ask him a question? Okay, what do you think of people who think that you guys copy Aerosmith a lot? I think they should listen carefully to our own music. As a matter of fact, Joe Perry played with us on stage 2 nights ago.
Really?
They like it. Good question.
I think a lot of them have copied the look. A lot have copied music in some places, but nobody's ever captured the attitude.
What's rock and roll all about? Just to have a good time, right? And nobody gets out of this thing alive. So let's just all go for it and have a really good time and live fast. And the kids don't have to live fast and die young.
That's our job.
That's our job.
I think some bands kind of put on an act just because they think that's what they're supposed to be.
It just gets crazier, actually. We have like 5 cases of beer on a rider. We have a lot of friends who have died from, drugs and stuff, so we've learned some lessons, I think.
We would be the last guys going and pushing drugs on somebody,
I don't want to be one of those people that's like a heavy influence on, people's character and stuff like that.
Rock and roll to me is, in my small, humble opinion, is entertainment. That's all.
Rock and roll has no limitations on the way you can look, the way you can sound, the attitude.
I don't think the girls really have the attitude.
People saying, girl band, no, 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 yes, yes. Well, I guess it's okay, for somebody to come along and sort of break the ice, for other women to come along. It's just, if you're good, you're good. If you suck, you suck.
I just want to be known as the heaviest, the most aggressive, the strongest woman singer in heavy metal and rock and roll.
I'll be honest, I did some things at the beginning of my career that I, in my heart, totally did not feel comfortable with. I think that every female artist has a certain degree of that she will emanate. Anyway, now, if I have any type of, if any sexuality is perceived in what I'm doing, it's very natural for me, and it's what I want to be doing.
Heavy metal and rap have always been 2 genres that are very sexist, and so it's really fun to just turn it around and throw it back.
I don't object to sexual images in mass media. I think we should have, more and better sexual images. You don't see sex. You see women in cages. You see women's submissiveness represented as a turn-on.
I never had a bad thing to say about women as far as, I'm not a chauvinist or, an anti-feminist or anything like that. It's probably the same thing.
We're male, and we carry genes in our system that are sexist and double standards and chauvinistic, and we're not afraid of expressing ourselves.
People use sex in the videos and stuff because they try to sell records.
Tied up with knives, guys. Come on. We can justify this by the way at the front.
In any way. She's not being injured, there's no blood.
Threat of the injury.
It's just like a sideshow in a circus. I mean, basically, we're living a sideshow of rock and roll right here.
And the only kind of redeeming thing that would happen after working your ass off for 2 hours at gigs really turned out to be just like getting laid. I mean, you know, ask any band, they'll tell you the same thing.
Get some sluts up here tonight. Look, I'm not your record company. Give me a break.
And I especially want every woman in the world to lick my boot heels, and that's the reason I do anything.
It takes a lot of trust to trust people like us, you know what I mean? Guys in bands and we have it in our face all the time, sex thrown in our face all the time, so.
If you wanted to degrade a chick, you could degrade one. But, you know, that doesn't make me feel real good.
You can't sum anything up with one word, but sex will do.
Through their research, the PMRC discovered 5 major themes which occurred consistently in some rock music and especially in heavy metal. They are the abuse of drugs and alcohol, suicide, graphic violence, a fascination with the occult, and a sexuality that is graphic and explicit.
They were calling it rating rock and roll, but in reality it was censorship.
The outrageous edge of rock and roll has shifted its focus from Elvis's pelvis to the saw protruding from Blackie Lawless's codpiece on a Wasp album.
We never really had any intention of causing an adverse effect towards women's movements or groups or anything like that.
We went down there, me, Zappa, John Denver, and we spoke out against what they were doing. We proved how dumb it was. And although the press didn't quite portray it the way it all happened, the whole thing kind of faded out.
The PMRC did the greatest thing for rock and roll. They gave us back our outlaw image.
How important is the image to Cinderella, image of the band?
I think it's real important because of video, you know, that the band has a certain look, and I think that's real important.
I'm never going to deny that we have an image because we do, and it's very strong. But I think what happened was all of a sudden the press and the media, and especially our critics, the people that hated our band, tried to make it out that that's all we had.
It's music, man. It's not an image.
I just like it when a band will come out and they'll dress a certain way, and then as soon as they get off stage, they're apologizing for it. Yeah, well, you know, we just kind of do it because, you know, I'm really sorry. Well, next album we won't. It's like, just do what you want to do, and if somebody doesn't like it.
Yeah, we've always concentrated more on the music, I think, than on what we wear, you know, or the way we do our hair or anything. It's just sort of like, that's what's important to us, is the songs.
People always give us crap for wearing makeup and stuff, but it's so stupid. It's like you didn't give, you know, you don't give us Rolling Stones and people like that.
What I'm saying is that dude looks like a lady. All these groups that play the audience like this. And I think it's funny. I think it really works well without pointing pictures at this group and that group that perhaps looks like a lady.
No, I love it.
Because you do, baby. Oh, yeah, you do.
And we wanted to look good, and it's just the way we always dressed up. You know, we never planned any certain kind of an image or anything.
Oh, I know I have to look really colorful and ridiculous because I'm going on television, so that's why you know, I don't really like to show off my clothes very much. You know,
We're going up around the bed.
If you start following these fashions, they disappear, and then you disappear with them.
You know, every once in a while you'll get that we're just another one of those hair bands from LA.
First of all, I don't know what the term hair band means. Yes, we have hair.
Look at this guy's hairdo, man. Hey, outrageous. That's what my dude.
All the hairspray they used has created a hole in the ozone. They must be destroyed.
Kind of goes together, you know, rock, motorcycle, leather jacket, and a tattoo.
Should I drop my drawers?
Go ahead.
Okay, it's okay. It's okay.
What happens if he quits the band? He's basically screwed.
Glued in, but tattooed.
You can get a million tattoos, and you can go get arrested, and you can do all that stuff, but nothing's ever going to cut through the way a hit song is going to do it.
I hate the word power ballad because usually it's like some kind of mush. It's a rock and roll song that's played real slow.
More than words, sure you feel.
Bottom line, a record company, you don't put any ballad on the record, we're going to have a problem.
We come from Hollywood, and everyone we know is in a band, okay?
We went to Germany, we toured, and we came back the second time after I just landed a record contract, and they said, this is a new thing happening. It's the new thing in Los Angeles, you know, it's called heavy metal. And I said, heavy metal? You know, we hear it, you know, and there's this band called Motley Crue, and there's this band called this, and this band, Van Halen, got signed, all these bands we played clubs with, you know, they're all doing really well, and I was laughing, and I said, you know, I mean, this is just the same stuff we've been playing in the clubs for 10 years, it didn't go away.
I think Los Angeles is the breeding grounds for these metal groups because it's the place where all the record companies are, you know. Kids come out there from all over the country and even all over the world to make it as rock stars. Do you think that you're going to be a rock star?
Oh, yes. Yeah, I'm going to be famous rock star, yeah.
Yeah, so I want to be a rock star.
To me, success is being around for a long time, not just having like one big album and where are they now.
A walk on Hollywood Boulevard just any given afternoon, especially a weekend, and you'll see a lot of those people that from all over, not even just the country, but from all over the world that are sitting on doorsteps and panhandling and everything. It's just, that didn't make it. There's a certain vibe that I think we brought back, which is sort of like, you know, it's not predictable. It's very dangerous on the most part, and that's what's fun about it, you know?
We were like punk type of attitude, you know? I don't give a what anybody thinks about us. We just do what we want to do. That's what it's always going to be. And the day that we have to bend to do what somebody else wants, we'll break up. We don't want to do it anymore.
You heard it first. You're breaking up.
Because I don't like what you...
We're one of the few successful offshoots from the Hollywood scene that there has been in a lot of years.
Things get faster and harder on Everything Louder Than Everything Else next.
There are really two schools of thought in the school of heavy rock.
They're girls, we're men. Is that what it is?
That's what it is.
Did you know, James, that at the same time that all this glam rock was going on, there was also like another genre of music like coming up and kicking its ass? There was a whole other kind of thing happening on the streets. Also, it started in maybe mid-'80s, thrash metal, dude, that...
Thrashcore, grind, death, killer metal.
That was pretty heavily influenced by a lot of the punk bands from England and some of the more extreme new wave of British heavy metal bands like Venom. Bands in America like Anthrax and Megadeth and Slayer. A couple other folks were kind of doing that thing up through the 80s and really spreading a kind of a harder, more no-holds-barred type of...
Ripple-rama of metal, right? Something like that.
That's it in a nutshell.
Roll it!
There's a big difference in the music. There's a lot more aggression and anger. Bands are releasing that, like say a thrash show, then you'll go watch Bon Jovi.
Like a combination of almost British metal and punk thrown into a bag and then shaken up and thrown out. So it's attitude and musicianship.
industry wouldn't be the same without punk. It's had an influence, and it still has an influence on these bands, these pop-type metal bands and the speed metal bands.
You know, now the music's getting a little heavier, and people have things to say again.
The CNN for the youth of the world today.
For democracy, any man would give his only begotten son.
We just write about some more realistic things to us and some things that we find interesting about some of the things that go on around us, you know, with just society in general.
It'd be silly to sing about women and whiskey, you know, when you're playing an E chord, you know, it wouldn't make any sense.
The more that the world is in a state of demise, the more topics we have to write songs about, you know?
The American way!
Hopefully, in an ideal situation, everybody goes home, reads all the words, and goes, God, I get it. I get it. This is what I think. And then they come to the show and they go, this is what I got out of it. What do you mean? And then we have a discussion.
We really don't want to curb people's minds in any direction. We just want to get the facts out to them.
I couldn't give a crap if people agree or disagree with what we have to say, because it's my own opinion.
Mostly like social issues and, you know, the economy and ecology, environment. With Anthrax, it's mostly, we hit issues like racism, things like that, but there's no room for it in the world. I mean, there's enough hate in the world without that. I can't see, nobody in the band could see how you can just hate somebody for the color of their skin.
Actually, the human race is what pisses me off, you know, and it may sound kind of weird, but, you know, stuff like that I find important social issues that not only in our country but in other countries.
There's no jobs, a lot of money problems, so, you know. Unfortunately, we don't have the answers for all that. In our lyrics is most like other bands just kind of, we complain and we tell what we think is wrong.
I got people coming up to me, well, why don't you write about like happy things or like nice things? I'm like, well, I did my part. I made you think about that stuff. Yeah. That's what's important.
I don't really see the lyrics as being all that negative. Tommy, are the lyrics negative? Are we negative? Definitely. Yeah, they're negative. Okay.
Violence and force!
Sometimes I think I should be even more vocal than I am and more violent to the point of, you know, massing an army and killing everybody.
The violent thing, I think comes out of our music, like, because we're not really violent ourselves, you know, as individuals, but like when we're jamming, writing tunes, it comes out of us, like in our music.
If our name just having suicidal tendencies is going to influence them, when they're watching these TV shows, then they're going to go out raping, robbing, and murdering. So if that's the case, then isn't it better that they kill themselves than going out and killing someone else?
If it does cause violence in some people or some young people, then I would say that maybe those young people were feeling violent anyway, for other reasons.
This is called moshing. It's like a dance that the kids do at the shows, and they really get into the music and they stomp around and have a good time and just have a real good time. It's not really a violent thing. They're not hitting each other and fighting or anything like that. It's just a way to get out your aggressions to the music.
What happened?
The mosh happened.
Did anybody go in the mosh pit? Yeah. Is it worth it to get kicked in the head?
Yeah.
You know, it's a sort of dance around, have a good time, but not get violent and not hurt each other, you know, sort of bringing people together rather than people being against each other.
The crowd is very humorous, to me anyway. You know, the stage diving, head walking, slam dancing, all that kind of thing. It's pretty funny.
Personally, I've had, you know, people on stage, you know, get punched in the nose or kicked in the nose, whether it's on purpose or accidentally. When my nose is broken, it's broken. So if I get a hold of that person, I'm gonna take care of it.
But if you come out to one of our shows and you jump up on the stage and you jump off and you go home with a broken this and that, you know, and your parents freak out because they have no idea what you're doing at the shows, please explain to them what's going on, that you took it upon yourself. It's time to grow up and be a man or a young woman.
Now there's a lot of bands doing the Venom thing, you know. It's what's coming up. We love it. It's great.
In my opinion, Venom were the first to have the brutal vocal style, you know, tuning low, their instruments, that initial really brutal aggression.
Death metal. What's that? I mean, where is that? What is that?
Heavy metal taken to its extreme, that's all.
It's hard for a normal person to get into it. It's really, it's kind of like classical, you know. It's just a few people that like it, but they really like it.
Why do you guys like death metal? It's dark, energetic. Aggression release. Aggression release.
Adolescents, man. That one word alone should tell you why they're into the music. Parents don't like it, so kids love it.
And why does it appeal? Because young men are trying to work out their masculinity and their independence. And they like violence, and they like things that are definite and clear, and if they don't find it in one source, they'll go to something else.
I just go right to the point with the lyrics, and it's up front and brutal for everybody.
I can get into anything, you know. I mean, I can get into death metal at certain times. Sure. Yeah.
Just to crush any misconceptions of death metalers being cruel to animals or anything. I'm an animal lover.
It's all symbolism. It's everything represents something, and the drinking of blood is representing drinking life.
Yeah, I mean, parents should be concerned about what the kids listen to anyway. At least take an interest, but it doesn't mean they have to censor it.
Once everybody gets their own style, I think, you know, death metal will definitely be an established form of music that people will know and grow to love.
Over a billion bands now playing like totally aggressive, fast, aggressive vocals and stuff. They think that's the heaviest kind of style, but to me that's just so unoriginal, so diluted.
Death metal came from thrash metal came from heavy metal came from hard rock came from rock and roll came from Robert Johnson.
It's funny how times change. I mean, the kind of music that was happening when we first put Megadeth together isn't even around anymore. Speed and thrash metal is almost something of the past. A lot of those bands just like suck themselves right up into their Marshall amps, you know, because they refuse to grow and refuse to move on and do anything else.
Come on, man, let's wake up now!
Before us, it was Judas Priest. We kind of took that place, and we were there for 2 or 3 albums, and then we didn't do it. We kind of stayed where we were doing the same stuff, and then Metallica came along and gradually kind of replaced us.
The latest Metallica album reminds me so much of a kind of where Sabbath should have gone.
If Metallica would have never been formed, thrash metal would probably be very stagnant, and these punks would not have a gig.
Now you're the band that's influencing a lot of other bands. How do you feel about that?
It's not our fault.
Metallica was a big influence, you know, still is. To imitate is to create. You have to start somewhere. I'm just hoping that through all of this, there will be a band who will cite us as a major influence, who finds a sound all their own.
I mean, just think if somebody had said to you when Kill 'Em All came out, well, you know, in 1992, Metallica's going to have an album that sells 9 million copies. You get, well, what kind of drugs are you on? You know, let me have some of them.
The people who are our true fans that like us for how we've gone about things, how the integrity is the main thing in our music, they're still there. And the people who are too afraid of who likes them now and don't want to be mixed in with the wrong crowd, you know, have gone away, and we're glad for that.
Coming up, everything louder than everything else checks out the new breed and the future of metal.
I don't think we ever described ourselves as the evolution of metal. I think other people have described us that way.
So,
Hey, James, man, we're on. We're on, James. Hello. Hello, we're in the 90s, man. Talk about the 90s.
The 90s, man.
It's alternative, man. Grunge, man.
Generation X, man.
Yeah, I know.
What the hell does that mean?
I have no idea.
Okay. But people say it a lot. And I heard it once, and I still don't know what it is.
And at the moment, there's a whole other movement, which could be gone, 3 or 4 hours from now. But it's, being spearheaded by, obviously, bands like Pearl Jam and Soundgarden and Nirvana. So now, let's go to something else. Check it out.
Roll it.
I like the Seattle situation.
Nirvana or Soundgarden or Pearl Jam who have got this new, supposedly modern sound, which in actual fact, if you listen to it carefully, dates much more further back than our sound, and it's more the Black Sabbath era.
Sabbath, man. Right on.
Oh, yeah! You see bands like Nirvana coming out and blowing everybody's perceptions away of what the music business should be. Everybody's like going around wringing their hands, going everything. It's all screwed up. It's not the way it used to be, and that's how it should be.
But now we have the thing where the scenario of, hey, we're from Kentucky, let's move to Seattle and start a band and say we're from Seattle.
Don't move there. Nobody move there. It's full.
It's horrible. It's terrible.
No vacancy.
The Sub Pop sound.
That's right.
Yeah. Grunge.
Seattle.
I can't decide.
Seattle Sub Pop grunge.
I just get sick of talking about the San Diego grunge sound. If I have to answer that question one more time.
If there's any similar sound out there that any band is doing, it's because within a certain age group, within a certain generation, there are certain kinds of music that you have, grown up listening to and that you can't help but being influenced by.
Well, we're trying to ride the grunge wave right now and cash in on it as much as possible.
Yeah, do you know what's getting popular next so we can
Grunge Light.
angle that way?
Grunge Light.
A distorted sample or a noise on a keyboard is the equivalent of a loud, distorted AC/DC guitar in the electronic world, It's a way of conveying power and anger and aggression.
Our aggression never changed. It's just how we wanted to funnel it.
And you see that the two can clash together. Well, they don't clash. I think they mesh together. You know what I mean? And in that sense, I think we're influenced by a lot of rap groups because they're not afraid to talk about, what's going on out there.
It's immoral to murder the Indian.
The kind of power that we are trying to give people is a personal empowerment, a recognition of the inequity, a recognition of so many of the injustices.
Ultimately, the test for whether it is a voice for the youth will be if we sell a lot of records, and then we're just going to break up, do a reunion tour just for the money.
It's really good to start a band because you start a band and it sucks forever, and then as soon as it's kind of good, all your friends hate you and you've sold out.
How do you feel, though, about the crossover into the metal market?
Fine.
Yeah. A few of those kids, they could go from worshiping Satan to being studious and alternative. And some of the alternative people could be like smoking pot on their Camaro hoods.
Now the kids that are in Middle America, they all want to be in Nirvana-type bands as opposed to Poison-type bands.
It's all in the music. It's all in the meat.
Jason, say hello, Jason. Hey, what's up? What's your opinion about the future of heavy metal?
You're listening to it now.
Okay.
We're not on yet. I have a riff, so there's the future of heavy metal.
Yeah, we're not on yet.
I have a riff. Should he say it? No, I'll say it.
No.
Roll it!
I think think out of the grunge scene, I think there'll be a couple good bands come out of it. And then there'll be the industrial vibe that's coming out now. And the hip-hop thing. It's always something, but hard rock's always been the alternative.
There's not only alternative, there's other kinds of alternatives to the alternative.
We're out of the spotlight, but I think it'll be back in you'll find the next 2 years, I think.
Any type of music, anything that for it to remain around, it has to change.
I think it was cool for metal because like a lot of different elements entered metal.
And I think people these days are starting to realize that it's okay to like different types of music regardless of how the music sounds, you know? It's the message in the music is what it's all about.
This kind of music is going to be around for as long as people, and you guys out there that don't like it, tough, you know, because it's going to be around for a long, long time.
There's definitely a good few dozen bands that could take us through the 90s that are all just sitting there poised to do well in the next few years.
Metallica are the gods of this era of metal, and we are the successors to the throne. If I can live through these next couple of years, you know, we'll see what happens.
I think metal's going underground again. I think that the grunge alternative music is now taking the place of what pop rock was. I think it's Pantera, Slayer, and then Helmet.
Work your best!
Those are the bands that are going to champion the new metal. That's the way I look at it. That's my expert opinion. Thank you very much.
So,
Time to say goodbye.
No, let's do another hour. Well, you know what? When it's your 20th anniversary, why don't we do this again and we can see how the old 90s question there was answered. Hey, say goodbye.
Roll it! No. See ya!
Nice working with you, man. We're out of here. See ya!
Yeah! Never till you down on the muffin and you should have changed your way.
That's the Bon Jovi alert. Grow your hair
Body count.
now.
What size underwear?
This size.
Go on, bend it. All right. Bend it, get it.
Jump the van, man.
We're doing MuchMusic. Canadian.
Oh, shit!
You ain't gonna take it. Oh, yeah. Much music, baby.